Hey guys, today we have got a gentleman that I've loved dearly. I've known him for several years. His name is Jon Bailey, and he's from the UK, over there close to London. And he owns a print shop over there, and he is a fabulous leader. He's very a forward thinker of things that take place in the world with mentoring and also with collaboration. And so I think today will be a very good podcast, and I know that you'll enjoy it. Okay, hey everybody, boy, today we have got a guy, a good friend of mine, and he is all the way across the pond over there close to London. I believe it's in Sheffield, and he has agreed to be with me today because we can talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on in the crazy ass world, and then also want to talk to him about collaboration, also mentoring, and also leadership. And in there a little bit, also I want to talk about, a lot of mental issues are going on right now, and I think it'd be a good subject because he's very involved in that and with mental health. Him and another friend of ours, David Rosenthal. So this will be fun. So we'll kick it off. So what do you think, Jon Bailey?
Hey, how are you doing, Larry? I'm not sure whether I agreed to it or not. I'm not sure whether I agreed to it, but we'll go with agreed to it. Hey, we'll go with agreed. But no, nice to see you, and looking forward
That's
to
good.
catching up.
It's great catching up. It really is, and of course, you and the boys, that I always talk about all the time, and it's always good just getting together, telling our stories, ribbing each other, and it is a hoot. It really is. Now let's kind of start off, and because I want you to talk a little bit about, working with David, about the mental health and a little bit about y'all's program. I want to really talk about that, so we'll make sure we get that in.
Okay. Yeah. So look, I'm very passionate about leadership and collaboration. I know we're going to talk more about that, but I'm also very passionate about the challenges that we face in our industry. And I've always said I don't know an industry that works as hard as the people who I know who run the businesses in the print industry for many years. Not just a couple of years. These people who run businesses like mine and like yours are in it for generations, and to keep up that level of intensity and challenge and toughness for so long does take its toll. And it's a challenging business. Margins are tight. It's fast paced. There's a lot of change, and I see a lot of people who I love and I know very well who maybe struggle at different points. And I think historically, us greybeards, right? We don't like to talk about the challenges that we face because we shouldn't talk about it, and we should show that everything's rosy all the time. And I think it's about time that some of us, particularly who are maybe lucky enough to be seen as innovators and that everything's great and the business is flying and everything's rosy, I actually think we have a responsibility to share with the people that it isn't always great and it's not always easy. And we have to talk about it. We have to share it, and we have to really help each other through it. So I'm a very passionate about it. I'm working with David Rosendahl, who obviously. I think he's doing a session with you shortly, and Jess DeCola from GPA and Chris Min from Infigo. And we have an initiative called Sheep for Brains, which we work with people within the industry through the D-Scoop community, where we really try and share and open up these hot topics. You'll see behind me the three words that are sticking out for me, the side of my head: the people, the planet, and the communities. That's our kind of three cornerstones of what we try and focus on in Precision Proco, and that's part of that.
That's fantastic. Well, that's good. I know you guys have done very well over there, and it all comes with hard work. I mean, it hadn't been easy, I know, and but y'all run quite a business over there, because I know I depend on you, because I'll give you a call and say I've got to get this done over in whatever part of the world is close to you, and boy, you know right where to send it. And so it's a big help. It is fabulous to have all those connections, and I can tell you folks right now, all those connections that I have came from a community that was started right at a little over 20 years ago, and it's called D-Scoop. It's a digital solution cooperative, And one of the main sponsors that really helped us put all this together was HP. And then and I'm one of the original founders, and then after I stepped out of it, I think probably about 11 years, 12 years, I guess it was. Well, then Jon took over. Now Jon's very involved, and he keeps everybody in order and keeps it running, for the conferences that they have every year. And so it's good. I mean, not only is it just US based now, I mean, it has gone global. And I know in Europe, it's a pretty big community over there in Europe too. So it's good. Tell us a little bit, if you would, Jon.
Yeah, it's a fantastic organisation, and I'm very proud to represent it and to help represent what you guys started. I've been involved for 15 years now, so we've known each other for 15 years, Larry. So we were a little bit younger when we first started working together. And I think it's one of those organisations, and I said that at the last event, that I just think it's so unique to be able to create an environment that is so open and humble and honest and vulnerable, and also so innovative at the same time is really unique. And as you say, it creates a community around the world. So we have Asia Pacific, we have EMEA, we have Latin America, we've got US. Now we cover the whole globe. And like you said, the ability to be able to find someone to help you in any country, in most cities in the world, is absolutely unbelievable. And I always have this conversation with people because I've always believed in collaboration and I've always believed in sharing. And people always say to me, why do you spend so much of your time telling other people how to improve their businesses, or how helping other people connect with other businesses, or helping people find solutions? And I truly believe that if you're a business that shares and focuses on best practice and become that trusted advisor and that thought leader, by sharing what you know with others, you open up your mind to be able to absorb so much more stuff. And so you take so much more stuff on. So I think the collaboration piece is so underestimated by people, about the value from a leader being able to learn new things. I think it's really one of the key drivers of success for us. Really do.
Oh, most definitely. And I've said this story before, and I'll tell it again. That time at a D-Scoop event, I was having lunch with some newcomers, let's call them. And I think there was 12 of us sitting around the table right there. And I was talking to them about sharing a best practice or a worst practice, of each one of them as we go around the table. And Bob Shear, I don't know if you know Bob Shear or not, but he said, Larry, I don't know if I want to share an idea like that. I said, a lot of these guys here are my competitors. And I says, Bob, you're going to get one idea. You're going to get 11 ideas back. So to me, that's pretty damn good odds, and well, then after that point, he was just singing like a canary, I mean, he was telling all kinds of stuff, to get it back. But you're exactly right. And the guys that we have helped, the guys that have helped us, we have all really prospered in tough times, in the markets, that we're in. We've been able to help each other throughout the world. I mean, I don't look at myself as just a Houston, Texas printer. I mean, I have done jobs all over the world, for Fortune 500 companies. I mean, in Houston, we got a ton of Fortune 500 companies, mainly in the oil and gas field, and those customers, I mean, they're just amazed that we're able to get stuff, overseas and get it done. Because when you're dealing with things like that, well, you got to deal with shipping, you got to deal with customs.
Yeah, and it's
that in itself.
Yeah, exactly, and it's becoming even more critical, right? So localized production now, from a sustainability piece. We could keep these three words on behind me and talk about them all day, right? Yep. So, the collaboration piece from a people perspective, to be able to ring someone when it's tough and know that they're going through the same sort of thing, and have that unity and that advice and that discussion is you just can't buy that, right? So that's one. But from a planet perspective now, the sustainability piece, you can't be shipping things all around the world. You can't be sending these planes around with huge pallets of print on, when you can print locally. And the clients are going to demand that we print locally now. So, I think we as digital printers and as D-Scoop community, that having the ability to take like you've just said, take an order from somebody somewhere in the world and print it that afternoon in one off or a million off in a completely different place in the world to the same standard, the same quality, with the same kind of speed is unbelievable. If you think about it, it's unbelievable that we can do that. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, but of course, along with that, there is hard times. There is issues. I mean, just in the past years, I mean, we had, a downturn in the economy. We had COVID, that came about. We've had political issues. And those type of things. I mean, we've always got to be cognizant of it and pay attention to it of what all's going on, in the world in itself.
Yeah.
And then margin pressures are constantly, you really, at this day and time, you cannot work on I call the top end, so far as margin. What you've got to continue to do is working on the bottom end. How are you going to produce it better, faster, cheaper, of course, I hate to say it sometimes, with less labor, and how you can be more automated, then you turn around and you got to buy more equipment. And I've said many times, as well as other businesses, not just printing business, but we are cash intensive. I mean, we have got to constantly, invest in our business and, spend $2 or $3 million just to get presses and things of that nature. But then one of the hardest things that I think you might be able to talk about this is the people. I mean, sometimes good people are hard to find, and the good people you do find, you got to take care of them, keep them involved, keep them informed, of what's going around, and let them be active and make decisions, and they want to feel part of the company.
I think what you've said there in a nutshell is such an important journey you've said in about 3 minutes, right? So you go from the challenges in the industry, so the industry's challenge, but then we have the world economic challenges that we're all facing, and we're all facing them the same, right? So we have COVID. So from a UK perspective, we have COVID, which I think I'm still dealing with some kind of PTSD from, because that was actually brutal. We then jump from that into a power crisis with the wars in Ukraine and other uncapping issues in the UK. So we have power that went 100x price-wise overnight. We then have a knock-on cost of living crisis where our people need more money in order to survive, but there's not enough margin in it. We then actually encountered a cyber attack, and we were attacked by malware, cyber ransomware, which we then had to deal with. Again, you're just trying to print people's photos, right? And you have to deal with this kind of stuff. And all of that in a world where margin is tight. And when margin is tight, it's always been our biggest challenge, I think, our industry faces. So we have CapEx that we have to spend because we have to stay up with the latest technology because it moves so quick because there's so much innovation. Doesn't give you the chance to recoup your money on the machines that you've put in to pay for it. So you have that challenge. And then when you look at margin itself, we as industry, our skill set is so broad that we need to be a modern, smart production hub. We need people who are going to print stuff. We need people who are going to cut stuff. We need people who are going to move stuff around the factory. But we also need rocket scientists and dev and tech. And, we need this. We've got this plethora of requirements that spans every type of skill set, right? We need salespeople. We need business leaders. We need accountants. We need analysts. We need data programmers. We need, it's like blows your mind that you need. And these people, especially after COVID, can now work in any industry. So trying to find data science and data analysts and coders and who can actually now work remotely in any country in the world, in any industry, in industries like pharma where the markets are huge. And we're trying to attract them to this little print company in Sheffield, right? And some London. It's quite difficult. So you have to, I think the people program how you position yourself, how you go to market, how you look after the team, how you then make them accountable, how you then build the culture of accountability and future proof, as we call it, is absolutely business critical today and will become even more critical as we move forward.
I've got three gentlemen that still work there at the shop, that I sold, and I still talk to them quite regularly. I classify them as craftsmen. You don't have a lot of craftsmen anymore. No. You really don't. I mean, these guys, they know what it takes to run a cylinder press. They know what it takes, to repair a press. They know what it takes, to handle, on the cutter, on all the bindery equipment, that has there. Because the young ones that we bring in, and I know you do that, and I mentor kids, continually on the mentoring side. But I had said something the other day, about a fax, and they want to know what a fax. I've had to tell them, about a fax.
I can understand how hard that is to explain, right? What a fax machine is.
And then we went down the path. I was talking to them, about cameras and film and ruby left and opaque pen, and boy, I mean, they just, they just were totally lost.
Then they could have started talking to you about TikTok and Snapchat, and it would have blown your mind as well. It works both ways. It's interesting though, because it does work both ways. I mean, my kids are going through those different ages, and we have an influencer brand now that we do influencer publishing. We have an e-commerce upload print. But interestingly, I think that craftsmanship is becoming more important, because I think as things become more process driven, the minute the processes cross over the creativity curve, I think you're in trouble. So I think you have to amplify that creativity curve more, and you have to focus on that. And as people are going home feeling, because we all have it now, right? Everyone goes home feeling undelivered, unappreciated, don't really know what they did that day, stressed, highly stressed, feel like the world's against, don't feel any sense of fulfillment with work because it's so relentless. And that's because we have this world of, we have to drive KPIs, we have to drive SLAs, we have to get more and more, and there's no time to celebrate success anymore. We don't celebrate success. There's no water cooler moments, there's no lunch moments, there's no discussion about what we saw on TV last night because we have to get into it. And the problem with that is it feels like it should be efficient and effective because it gets people focused, but I just think it makes people actually less effective, because they're not bought into it. They're not high in morale. They're not really focused. And actually, I think it has a negative effect. And I think you have to really focus on amplifying that human design, especially with the onset of AI and automation, which fundamentally is going to make every business the same in 5 years' time. And in 5 years' time, when everyone's fully AI'd up, fully automated, and all the robots are there, the only difference maker between me and everybody else is the peculiar people I employ and the characters I employ and the people who make us different to everybody else. And I think that's a really key point.
Well, hands down, I've said many times before. I mean, I've had customers, well, what makes you different? I said, let me tell you something. I have the same presses. I basically have the same people. Yeah. I got the same type of bindery equipment, and pretty much a lot of us have the same type of software. I said, what sets us off different is the service level that we get. We'll be able to help you with, and the things that keep you and your business, up and running and don't have any delays, and we're going to talk about AI here in just a little bit, but one thing that I want to talk about, which, we've gone over a bunch of stuff, but the leaders today, the leadership, I mean, it's totally different than what it used to be, and I see some leaders that are just stellar, that they know what the hell's going on, and they understand, they listen to the staff, I mean, a lot of leaders, they have the theory of this is how it works. But if you go back to the people back in, I'm just going to say, bindery, and you go back and you'll ask them, well, what's it take to get this done? How can we get this done? What kind of tools do you need to get this done? Other than just going back there and say, hey, this has got to be done by 5 o'clock, and this is the way you're going to do it. No, that's not going to work. That's why you've got to listen to the staff. But what do you see so far as leaders out there? I see some that failed miserably, and I see some that skyrocket.
I see the whole spectrum of leaders, and we don't, and those of us that are striving to be good leaders don't always get it right. And I think that's the key is not having enough about you to understand when you do get it wrong, and that you apologize. You acknowledge that you don't always get it right, because sometimes you're stressed and sometimes things are going a little bit away. But I always try and focus on a few things. I think a lot of leaders go down the path of least resistance, which is to sit and do emails or to look at the numbers and to see where it's going wrong from an analytics perspective. I actually learned a very important lesson from lots of people I've been lucky enough to work with, but one particular, Alon Barshani, who you know very well. I always remember talking to Alon, and I was always and still am blown away by his focus and dedication on spending time with two key groups: staff and employees and customers. Right? He spends so much of his time, almost all of his time, when he's working with those two groups. And I've really tried to take a leaf out of that book, and I try and spend as much time as I possibly can with the team and with customers to really understand what people want from us and what our team need from me in order to deliver that. And it's not always easy, but I try and do that. And I also try and instill a team effort of accountability. And we talk at Precision Proco about having a yes if, not no because attitude. So in our world, if someone talks about what can be achieved, if people go, no, I can't do that because I haven't got enough people, we go, whoa, no. It's a yes if. So they'll go, okay, I can do that if I have an extra body here, or I have more resource. I go, great, let's get that body. So we try and change it into a yes if, not no because mentality, and I think things like that make a big difference.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny that you said that, because I've always preached to them back there, and can do, will do, what can I do? Because it's people don't, in this day and time, they don't want to hear nothing. And they shouldn't. They're trying to run a business. There's two things that always instill into people, and always say, yeah, I can do that.
But I think
this is the criteria. I can do this.
I think the people need to know as well where you're going, Larry. I think people, there's so much noise and everyone's running. Again, people need to know what's expected of them. My experience with people is most people, 99.9% of people who come to work want to do a really good job, really care, and actually want to go home having done a great job, feeling really fulfilled and being treated with respect and kindness and fairness and appreciated. That's my experience. Yeah. And a lot of the time when that behavior is not seen, it's normally due to the fact that they're unclear on what's expected of them, or the communication from the managers or the leadership is not clear, so they don't understand. Because actually, if they understand and it's appreciated, it normally works. So we do a lot of work on that and trying to make things really clear, because if you think of it in our world, and you had to say, we will do on a busy greeting card day, like Valentine's Day, for example, we might do 350 to 400,000 cards in one day on one product with a 2-hour SLA, right? And if little Johnny gets a card for his 5th birthday that was actually a card for somebody's stag do, which maybe not quite as clean or appropriate, you know where I'm going with this, that's a bad delivery issue if they get mixed up in the wrong card, right? And that requires people to care about the fact that little Johnny gets his right card and the stag do get the right card. So it's really important that people are bought into what you're trying to do, what the customer ethos is. One of the big things we did actually a couple of years ago now, and it's worked really well, is we were doing an invite for the launch of a new James Bond film, right? Which in the UK is a big thing, right? It's a James Bond film. And they have the Aston Martin car, and that we all love that, right? So we had an invite, and it was 200 invites. And someone on the shop floor said to me, I said, how's that job going? It's that beautiful. It's 200. They said, it's just 200 invites. I said, are you joking? It's for the launch of the new James Bond film and Aston Martin. I mean, it's like, that's amazing. And they didn't realize because it had just come through as a job and was in the factory, and they didn't realize. So we started actually showing on screens around the building the adverts or the film snippets of the film or the
Oh,
brands to
neat.
show the people on the shop floor. So, for example, we'll do a campaign for Adidas, and what would happen is the parents would go home, the kids would say, "Oh, Dad, have you seen those new trainers for Adidas with my, blah, blah?" And the parents would go, "Oh, we did that." And they go, "What?" And they go, "Yeah, we print for that campaign." And suddenly the kids are excited about print, and they're really proud of their parents for working on. And suddenly it becomes a thing. And we've really noticed that that's made a big difference to people buying into the work we're doing and the brands. And they're now really excited when they see a job because they want to know who we're working for. It's quite good.
Oh, that's fantastic. I was an individual's name you just mentioned a while ago, Alone Barshney. For the folks, he's from Israel, from Tel Aviv, and I'm telling you, he is probably the number one best leader that I know. And I think, and everybody that really knows him will probably agree with that. Low key individual, soft spoken, but I mean, he is sharp as a tack when it comes to this type of thing. I have the pleasure of speaking with Alone. We email each other probably once a month, because there's a lot of craziness going over there in Israel and everything. And I always, check on him, see how he's doing. Both him, Gav, and David and Roy, it's just, they're just good people, and they understand business. They know how it works, and so, and Alone's going to be on the show. He's going to be on the podcast too.
Good.
And he's going to be on right after the first of the year. So I'm pretty excited.
Make sure you do it a while after me, though, because it's going to be so good, right? You're going to make. I don't want to.
I will. AI.
Yeah.
And now this is extremely new to me, and of course, I'm about as dyslexic as a human being could possibly be. But I get it. And AI has been a fabulous tool for me, being able to spell correctly for me, being able to punctuate for me, being able to put things in order. And I use a particular software. I mean, it's not the chat, or it's not the large ones, I should say. It's just a simple called Writer, and I'm able to input. Do I want this humorous? Do I want this serious? Do I want this storytelling format or whatever? And then kind of what I'm going to talk about, and then bam, there it is. I got a whole story that's put out, or a whole blog, or a whole email, or and so this has changed my life and how I operate. But then I see the other guys that are a little bit smarter than me, that they use chat. And they go in and they will input the quote that they might have gotten that's pretty lengthy in an email. It formats it, bullet points, everything, and this is what they need to be asking for, and things like that. So, are y'all being that involved in AI?
Yeah. So I tell you a little story. So many moons ago, when ESG and the environmental piece started to become a thing. I saw it a long time ago and felt we needed to really be at the forefront of the sustainability movement. So I came back to the factory and to the site, and I said to the team, "We need to be at the forefront of sustainability." And everyone, yeah, fine. And I said, "No, we really do need to." And they went, "Yeah, fine." And I made the mistake of not driving it through enough. And so when eventually sustainability became a hot topic and everyone was saying it now is a hot topic, although we were up to speed with it and we're good and we're doing what needs to do, and we're actually, we're at the forefront really of what we're doing, we're not world leading the sustainability piece, and we're not really pushing the boundaries ahead of anyone else because we weren't quick enough to see it. And I've decided the same thing is not going to happen with AI. So AI now is top 3 in our board meetings from a standing items, and we have a full AI and robotics program and a full. We've moved employees from IT and data and taken the IT piece off them and made them AI and machine learning specific. And we're really focusing on the value of AI. But as well as delivering on the value of AI, we're working really hard on the impact of AI to amplify human design, because it's a scary thing for people, right? So we don't have a desire for AI. AI is naturally going to take some people's jobs. There's no point pretending it,
Oh, yeah.
right? But the jobs it's going to take are the jobs we shouldn't be paying people to do anyway. And we really believe we want the jobs that people are doing that we shouldn't be paying them to do, we want to move them into other roles or train them into roles that actually add some value. And we want to use it to take off the low admin role from people, to give them the ability to be humans again, to do the stuff that adds the value. So we're being really open, really full on about it with the company. We're educating the staff in that don't be frightened of it, right? Don't be scared of it. Let's start using it and let's start seeing how it can add value. And we're really starting to get momentum in that, both from a production perspective, from a resource perspective, from a pricing perspective, and also from a fun perspective. So, we're giving people those AI assistants when they're from a customer service perspective, but we're making people realize that they're AI. We're not trying to hide that it's a bot. We're saying, I'm not as good as XYZ. I'm just a bot, and so we're really trying to have fun with it. And that's to try and get rid of this stigma that it's a fear factor, because I think if it's a fear, people aren't going to really jump on it like we want them to jump on it. So it's a big push for us. Yeah, it's quite exciting.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And it should be, because it's a tremendous tool that, the sales guys can take and work with, or the people within the shop can, because the uses of it, I mean, just keep coming and coming and coming and coming. I mean, it's really been a fun event to watch, that's taking
I
place.
agree.
Well, John, I mean, I cannot tell you and how much I enjoyed the conversation, and just thrilled to death that you were able to take a little time, because I know it's a little bit later over there. There in the UK, probably what?
It's 4 p.m. I will always make time, Larry, to talk to you. You know that I love you, but at this time of year, it's pretty crazy. It's peak season for us, so we're a consumer-based print at this time of year. So today we have approximately about 2 million items coming in and going out today. So it's a little bit frantic. So we've got a lot going on. But so I've actually used this as an excuse to get out of that for an hour and come and talk to you. So you've done me a favor.
You're welcome. But no, I appreciate it. I hope we get to have you on here again, because we'll be able to tell some more stories. And then, of course, tell the boys I said hi, and I'd love to have them.
I will pass that on, and I hope to see you soon, buddy.
Well, fantastic. Well, buddy, I appreciate it very much. Love you, and we'll talk to you later. Hey, folks. Thanks for tuning into the Larry Vaughn Show. Your support and engagement mean the world to me. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you want to dive deeper into the stories behind the show, check out my book, Business Cards and Shoe Leather. It's a journey through a connection, community, and real entrepreneurship. You can also visit LarryVaughn.com to subscribe to the newsletter and browse the merchandise shop. We've got some great things in store. And always remember, make today count.